It's the very end of August. Tomorrow's the last day of August. And I know that I'm not going to get any new books tomorrow, at least I'm pretty sure of that fact. So this is going to be my August book haul. Once again, it was pretty much one of those months where I'm like, oh, I'm actually doing pretty good, because I think I hit like the 20th, and I still had only gotten like at most 10 books, and I was like, oh, okay, that's pretty decent, because usually I have a really bad buying habit, and then it just kind of spirals, and then you're like, whoa. I don't know what the total count is. It's still, at least stack looking wise, it still seems like I did better than most months, like with not getting as many books, but there's still quite a few here. I think my downfall was I started getting semi-depressed towards the end of the month, and when that happens, you know what cheers me up? Impulsively buying a bunch of books. Also, something that's sizing this book haul up a bit more is usually I divide the comics and manga that I buy in a separate haul, but I have here 3 manga and 1 single issue comic that I normally would keep in a different video, but I'm just going to toss them in here because why not? And since there isn't as many, at least how I was organizing it, it was able to stay in the organization of how I got them. So the very first book I'm going to show is the first book I got this month, all the way until the very last book that I obtained this month. Okay, now that all of that's out of the way. The very first book that I bought in August was The Darkest Minds by Alexander Bracken. It's the first book in the Darkest Minds series. I think at first it was like a trilogy, right? And then a new one, The Darkest Legacy or something like that, just came out, and I don't know if that's like a continuation or a side story of it, but I do know it's in that world. Lots of people have been hyping this because of the new book and because of the movie that just came out and all that stuff, so it's in a very prominent place in the world right now. I don't know, lots of people are talking about it. I've never read it. I haven't read a majority of the big dystopian books that people have read. I think the only one that I've actually read is the Hunger Games trilogy, but other than that, I haven't really read most of them. This one, all I know is it's a dystopian about kids who, after some sort of event, have powers, and now they're in these concentration camps and stuff. And yeah, I was actually so interested in this and wanting to see the movie and to read the book and all of that, that this is one of the only books in this haul that I purchased full price. I got this at Target, so it was like $10. So that's the first one. Then these next 3 or so are from Dollar Tree. This one, Lies That Chelsea Handler Told Me, by Chelsea's friends, family, and other victims. So it's all of these people that associate with Chelsea Handler. I always loved this cover. When I was, I want to say 12 or 13, I rented this book from the library, and I read it, and it was funny, and I remember it was probably just way too intense of a book for me to fully, I guess, appreciate when I was that young, because I remember that there was lots of drug use and lots of over-the-top things. You think that it would just be a funny book about things ways that she tricked her friends and family, but there was some really fucked up shit she did to the people that were close to her and who trusted in her. And yeah, so I seen this for $1, and I thought, hey, I read this, I enjoyed it. Maybe when I'm bored and I'm into one of those kind of more comedy-esque books, I'll pick this up again. So boom, here's a book in the haul that I've actually read. That's rare. Yes. So that's one. Then another one that I was really excited to find at the dollar store, but it had a ugly sticker on the front, and then I took it off, and then it was just residue, so now there's a little post-it note paper. There is The Here and Now by Anne Bercheries. This is by the woman who wrote the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants series. I love that series. I've read the first 3 of the 5 books there, and I've always seen this at my store, the bookstore that I work at, and considered picking it up. It was $3 or $4 there, and then seen it at the dollar store, and I'm like, yeah, now I can get it for $1. I just know, I think it's about time travel or past lives or something, and a couple. That's all I really know about it. But it's short, and I don't know, the cover's pretty, and I know that I love her writing already, and I wanted to get into something that she wrote that wasn't the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. Alright, and then the last one. I'm gonna be real and say that I don't know anything about it. I just know that at one point everybody on BookTube was talking about it, and that is Wink Poppy Midnight by April Genevieve Tucholsky, I believe is how you pronounce it. That's how I think I've heard people pronounce it in their videos. And I have Between the Devil and the Deep Blue Sea by this author, but I haven't read it yet because it's in storage and all of that. But I seen this, knew that people were talking about it, knew that it was a YA kind of strange book. The cover's gorgeous. It was $1 at Dollar Tree. I was excited. So I picked it up. Then these next two kind of go together. I work occasionally in the buyback section of my store, which is basically the area where if people don't want stuff, because it's a secondhand bookstore, they bring in their stuff and I price it, or I see the stuff like when they first come in. And one of this person's orders, they got rid of all of their Junji Ito books, well, like manga. So one of the ones that I picked up was Tomi, because I've always seen these and I've always thought that they were gorgeous. Like they're these big, huge hardcover manga bind-ups, and I know that they're horror, and I've always wanted to pick them up, but they're like, what, $35 full price if I ever actually wanted to commit to that. But it was, this one I believe was like $5 or $6. And, yeah, that's vastly better than $35. I know that this is just like about a creepy woman who I think is like possessed or something. But yeah, succubus, and she compels dudes to murder people and stuff, and it looks really beautiful and really dark. I haven't read this yet, but it has come recommended just online and also from a coworker, and yes, I was excited to see this one. And then I also picked up, by Junji Ito from that order, Uzumaki. This is about a town that is cursed with spirals, like the different little swirlies. And it's such a weird concept, and I think it's so interesting what certain cultures can do with horror and just make something that doesn't even seem that scary. And I am currently reading this. I am right there in the middle, and I'm really enjoying it so far. It's very intense and very huge and very disturbing. So I only read about 100 pages a day because there's just a lot, only so much that I want to consume of this in a day. But it's really good. The art is gorgeous and creepy and very eerie and stuff. Look at that. And I just realized that I really enjoy this author / artist now, and I've been in a kind of blah mood where I just want to consume some horror media, and this is fantastic so far. Next, this one was really random for me. I started reading it while I was shelving stuff. I'm not supposed to do that because I was working, but I got bored, and I remembered seeing this book. It's called Kissing in America by Margot Rabb, I guess. I think, yeah, this is an adult contemporary romance book, and it's basically, well, it was in the adult section, but it's about a 16-year-old girl. I don't know. Whatever. It's about this girl who's in high school, and she falls in love, and she kisses this dude, and she feels things, and she's really into romance novels, and she's very into the concept and the ideology of romance, and she finally experiences it for herself, falls in love with this guy at her school, and then he ghosts her. I think he moves away and doesn't talk to her anymore and stuff, and she travels across the country to find him and to find out why, and to reconnect with him because he was the first person that she ever felt this connection with. I'm going through weird stuff, relationship-wise, so this, for some reason, appealed to me, and the thing is, I usually, whenever I saw this book, kind of cringed at the concept, because I'm clearly, if he left, he didn't give a shit about her and all that stuff, and by the time she locates him and stuff, he probably will have, a girlfriend, or he'll probably be dude, this is kind of, stalker level that you came across the country when I didn't even care enough to contact you kind of thing. And I'm still assuming that that's how it's going to end, but I'm thinking now that the purpose of the book probably is that she discovers stuff about herself while she's trying to find him, and realizes she doesn't necessarily need him, and that it's fine that they're not together at the end. And I think that I need something like that, so I might pick this up sooner than later. And it's here. Next, I have Unbreakable by Cami Garcia. Unmarked. It's the sequel to Unbreakable. It is the second book in the Legion series. I read the first book. I got it from Dollar Tree last year or something. She is the co-author of the Beautiful Creature series. I freaking loved the first book. It was in my favorite books of the year video for last year, and it reads a lot like supernatural fan fiction, and it was fantastic. And I was super excited when I saw that we got the hardcover of the second book in at my store, so I picked it up. Lots of people are mad in reference to this story because it was supposed to be a trilogy, so I believe this one ends on a cliffhanger, and then I think that Kami Garcia never got picked up for the last book, or she just never wrote it. But point is, it's been like 5 years or something after the first two were published, maybe even longer, and it's pretty clear that there won't be a third book, and it'll just forever be a 2-book trilogy that never ended. So I think that will bother me, but I loved the first one enough to still want whatever more I can get from this world and these characters. This is basically a girl whose mother dies, and then she finds out that she's kind of part of this, like, demon hunting, like, thing. It's kind of like Supernatural. People say it's Supernatural meets the Da Vinci Code, which I guess in a way is kind of true, and I highly recommend this if you can find it somewhere. Next is the random single issue comic. It was definitely a cover buy. I collect the Walking Dead comics and I read them, but I've always wanted this one. It is issue 168, The Road's End. This is probably the most gorgeous comic book cover, like single issue cover I have ever seen. I love it so much. And this was an exclusive variant cover that Image made for Pride. For all of the titles that they currently have ongoing, or at least at the time of Pride, they released variants for each of those series that were Pride themed. This is Jesus, my baby, stabbing a zombie through the chest with the rainbow flag. I want to get this tattooed, legit. One of my friends who works with me, he knew I had always talked about how much I wanted this, so when we got it traded in, he put it aside for me, and I just freaked out. And I'm so glad I have this. And it's beautiful. I think I have it in because I have all the omnibuses for the Walking Dead comics, but I needed that one to have that cover in my collection. It's fucking beautiful. Okay, next, also from my store, for about, well, it was marked at $12, so I probably paid $9 for it. This is Furyborn by Claire Legrand. Lots of people have been talking about this. This is book 1 of the Imperium trilogy. Lots of people have said that it's a really strong, good, high fantasy YA book. The cover is gorgeous, and I know that it's about 2 queens, a Blood Queen and a Sun Queen, I believe, and I am just excited to dive into this when I'm in the mood for some, like, hardcore YA fantasy. And yes, it's just beautiful, and I was excited, and as soon as I seen it, I purchased it. This next handful, there's quite a few of them, are all from Dollar Tree. Let's find out some good shit at Dollar Tree this month. This one is The Unbeatable Squirrel Girl, Squirrel Meets World. It's cute. By Shannon Hale and Dean Hale. I bought this when they had a Kindle deal for like $1 or $2 on Kindle because I was like, I really want to read this, and I'm really into the whole Marvel female-driven books that they're releasing. Well, just female superhero books in general, because I'm excited about like Wonder Woman, Warbringer, and all that. And I love Squirrel Girl. So I was excited to get that in ebook at least. And then it was here, at Dollar Tree. I did not notice it. My mom found it for me. She's like, don't you want this? And I was like, oh my god. So I'm excited to get into this. I believe it's middle grade, and it's about Squirrel Girl, and it's beautiful. So yeah. Next is a random one that I never heard of until I seen it at Dollar Tree, but I started reading, I seen the cover, and it intrigued me, right? It's called Taft 2012 by Jason Heller. The cover is interesting, right? And like the spine and everything is nice. So then I've read the back blurb and whatnot, and it's about the former president, Henry Taft, I believe is his name? Howard Taft. Okay. And it's about him basically being a zombie and resurrecting from the dead and choosing to run in the 2012 presidential election. And it starts off and you see, you're in his, point of view, crawling out from underground to, re-assimilate with, normal people in the normal world. It sounds so fucking weird. I love stories that have to do with the presidents. I'm very, into U.S. history and whatnot. currently it's a hot mess. But I feel like it's an appropriate read to like get into when you're just frustrated with the joke that is our country currently, and you know, zombie president. Can't be worse than what we have right now. Next is not really a book to read, it's more of a book to look at. It was also from Dollar Tree. It's DIY Temporary Tattoos. Draw it, print it, ink it. I don't really understand the concept of temporary tattoos. Like, I think they're cute, like, for kids and stuff. This is just people who want to decorate their skin, but not ever, like, I guess, commit to a tattoo, or maybe to test out how, like, a tattoo would look or whatever. But the designs for these temporary tattoos are fucking gorgeous. And I have been in a mode where I have just been, like, look at this. Look at this. So I figured maybe I could find some designs that I would actually be into, and not just necessarily for temporary, but like if I ever wanted to. It's like a tattoo book. Like, ignore the temporary word. So it's there, because I've been getting like new tattoos like crazy, so I've been in a mood, and I wanted to get that. Next, it's the last one, I believe, from Dollar Tree. It is The Girl Before by Rena Olson. This I got because, first of all, the cover's nice. It has a Target sticker on it that I tried to take off, and then it got really gross, so I just slid it back on. This is an adult thriller novel. It sounds pretty much exactly like the plot of The Girl Who Was Supposed to Die by April Henry, which I read like a month or two ago. But like in an adult book, like full-fledged, rather than just like it being like a little over 100 pages or like 200 pages or something. I really loved the concept of The Girl Who Was Supposed to Die, but I felt like it didn't deliver as well as I wanted it to. So I'm hoping that this one does. Which is basically just a girl who wakes up in this room with people who are trying to kill her and not sure what the hell's going on. And I'm excited for this. I actually am considering picking that one up soon. Next, we have one that was traded in at my store, Once and For All by Sarah Dessen. This is probably like my 8th Sarah Dessen book that I own, and I've never read a Sarah Dessen book before, and I'm getting kind of ashamed. This is the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition, evidently. And yes, this is probably definitely the first one I'll pick up. Either this, Saint Anything, or Dreamland. I know it's going to be one of those. But this one's about like weddings and stuff, and I read the beginning and I'm really intrigued to the concept. Getting down to like the last 5 or something. The next one is one that I technically already own, but my copy is like falling apart. It's in storage, but it's like really beat up and stuff, and I seen this one and I thought it was really pretty and new and nice. It's Skeleton Crew by Stephen King. This is one of his short story compilations that I believe has The Mist. So it's all nice in one of their new like cover release things, and yes, so I got this to replace my old beat up copy, and I might read it soon. Yes. Then like I said, at my store, we do a thing where you can trade in your books and you can get store credit and buy books without having to spend money because you got rid of books you didn't want and now you have credit. So I did that. I got rid of like a handful of books that I hauled within the past like month or two that I tried reading and it just wasn't doing it for me. And after unhauling those books and some comics that I didn't care for anymore, I had like $13 in credit, so I got 3 books and immediately felt the need to spend all the credit because I felt like I was rich, because, yeah. So, the first one that I picked up was Artemis Fowl by Ewan Colfer? Something like that. I know that the movie is coming out soon, that there's like lots of talks of the movie and stuff. My mom's read this book before and she really enjoyed it. I probably could have gotten it like a long time ago for the same amount, like cheap, but I like this cover better than the like really bright orange like one. And yes, it's very pretty. I'm expecting to pick it up when I'm in the mood for some middle grade, unless I pick up a Percy Jackson or Harry Potter book. But, you know, he's kind of part of those like very popular middle grade series led by like a boy. And I know it's about fairies and a millionaire evil genius boy who is Artemis Fowl. Next, also from that Junji Ito order, is Fragments of Horror, which I love the variation on the screen painting that's going on here, and it's basically a short story compilation of like these scary short stories that are still like manga formatted and everything. But I am enjoying Uzumaki so much that I just wanted to slowly get all of the ones that were traded in from that order, and so this was one that I picked up. It was $7, so that means for me it was like $5? So that was part of one of the ones I picked up. And then I have Otherworld by Jason Segel and Kristen Miller. I have Nightmares by them, and this one kind of sounds very Ready Player One-esque, and I love Ready Player One. I love Jason Segel because of his acting stuff, but I still haven't read anything by him, and I started reading this, and I'm like, yep, I'm gonna buy it. So, it's here. I've heard good things, like from Christine and other people on BookTube that I trust, so I'm excited about this. And we're getting down to the last two, and the last two are very exciting. I got them, like, yesterday or the day before. The first one here is To Kill a Kingdom by Alexander Christo. This, I just know, is a retelling of some sort, I think, of The Little Mermaid, origin story for Ursula or something like that. I don't know. I started reading and they were talking about sirens and mermaids, and it was very lush, the writing. But I know this must have been traded in from a subscription box because it has a letter from the author, and it has a signed book plate, which I'm just always excited about, because I was already, like, into this book because of how much hype it's getting lately. But those things added on is very exciting, and this was only $5, so yes. And then the last one I felt just as excited about, and yes, this is The Wicked Deep by Shay Earnshaw. Freaking gorgeous cover. Lots of people have been talking about it. I've heard mixed things. I think I've heard more good than bad, but I have heard either people just be absolutely in love with it or be like very on the fence / underwhelmed by it. But the concept seems so good. It sounds like The Beast is an Animal by Peter Nell Van Arsdale, which was one of my all-time favorite books that I read last year, and just in general, it's a fantastic standalone fantasy if you haven't read it. And this sounds very similar to it in the concept of women coming to, like, you know, steal guys and kill them and stuff. It sounds kind of like just a thing where it's like something bad was done to women long time ago, and they're kind of continuing that trend through the centuries. And it's like witches and stuff. It's pretty. So, yes. That is all. That is everything, I think. We'll count how many are later, but hopefully I'm getting better at purchasing less books. If not, it's no different than the other months. But if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, and please subscribe if you would like to see more of my face and my books. Bye!